The command bridge was eerily silent, save for the soft hum of advanced machinery and the faint flickering glow of holographic displays swirling around the central console. High Admiral Vexlor sat motionless, adjusting his ceremonial cape, again 14 times in as many minutes. The iridescent fabric shimmered in the dim light, a fabric harvested from the silk glands of the extinct Plovian moth whales, and every movement of his appendages caused the fabric to ripple like liquid metal. His 4 eyes flicked toward the main tactical display, which pulsed softly with incoming data. "Status," he demanded, his voice smooth and measured, carrying that perfect blend of aristocratic boredom and military precision that he was renowned for. His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Krill, hurried forward, clutching a data slate with a mixture of urgency and nervousness that betrayed his species' natural hesitance. "The invasion fleet is ready, High Admiral," Krill reported, voice steady but tinged with awe. 17,000 warships, each carrying between 2,000 and 5,000 ground troops. The Armada is the full might of the Galactic Concordance. All systems are in optimal condition. Vexlor nodded slowly, suppressing the flutter of anticipation, or perhaps dread, in his secondary heart. Centuries of debate, political maneuvering, and diplomatic stalling had led to this moment. The last uncharted sector of the galaxy was about to be brought into the fold, and the galaxy would soon see the power of the Concordance. "Bring up the target system," he ordered, voice calm but commanding. The holographic display shimmered, transforming into a three-dimensional map of a backwater solar system. 8 planets orbited a dull yellow star, each seemingly insignificant. His gaze fixed on the third planet, blue, green, swirling with white clouds. It looked unassuming, yet something about its presence felt different. "That one," Vexlor announced, pointing a limb toward it. "Earth, our target." A ripple of murmurs rippled across the bridge crew. They had all been briefed, of course, but seeing the actual planet made the mission suddenly more real, more immediate. The murmurs grew into whispers, then into hushed tones of curiosity. Among the crew, a junior officer hesitated, voice tentative. "Is that the planet from the myths? The one inhabited by humans?" Vexlor's mandibles curled into what passed for a smile among his species, an expression of amusement, of condescension, or perhaps both. Indeed, the legendary Earth, home to the bipedal creatures. Tales have long spoken of their violence, resourcefulness, and unpredictability. Some say they've even developed rudimentary technology. He paused, sweeping his gaze across the bridge. But as our scans confirm, their signals are primitive, orbital debris, some faint radio emissions. If humans exist, they're little more than pre-spaceflight primitives, possibly intelligent animals at best. The Science Directorate classified them as myth 75 cycles ago, and that remains the official stance. Krill cleared his sacs, nodding. "So, the invasion is just a formality, then?" Vexlor's voice was cool as ice. "Precisely. We secure the planet, catalog whatever primitive life may be there, and establish mining colonies. Should any natives survive, reservations will be created for their study and eventual uplift. Standard protocol for uninhabited worlds rich in resources." He turned back to the hologram, zooming in on the vibrant blue-green sphere. "Prepare the fleet for the jump. We leave in 6 hours." Meanwhile, aboard a human spaceship miles away, Dave Pritchard's morning was spiraling into chaos. First, his alarm had failed to activate, leaving him groggy and 20 minutes late. Then, he discovered his water heater had declared independence, overnight, apparently, leaving him with a freezing shower that made his teeth chatter. His ancient sedan, held together by hope and aftermarket parts, refused to start, forcing him into the subway. Now, standing in a packed train, clutching his travel mug of tea because he hadn't acquired a taste for coffee, Dave was reconsidering all his life choices. one microscopic decision at a time. His phone buzzed violently in his pocket, and with contortionist-worthy moves, he managed to fish it out without elbowing anyone or knocking over a stranger's bag. The screen lit up with a message from his boss. "Where are you? The Henderson presentation starts in 15 minutes. Dave's heart sank. He looked at the clock. Late again. Swearing under his breath, he quickly replied, "On my way. Train delayed. It should make it just in time." Just as he hit send, the train lurched forward unexpectedly. The lights flickered, plunging the carriage into darkness. A collective groan rippled through the crowded car. The conductor's voice crackled over the intercom, calm but strained. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please remain calm and stay seated while we investigate." "Perfect," Dave muttered, eyes darting around. The murmurs of confusion grew louder, punctuated by anxious glances. Then, his phone buzzed again, this time with an emergency alert. "Unknown objects are entering Earth's atmosphere. Seek shelter immediately." This is not a drill. A distant, thunderous rumble shook the train. Not like an earthquake, but a deep, continuous growl that vibrated through the metal shell. Phones chimed in unison, and the atmosphere shifted from confusion to outright panic. Dave pressed his face against the window, but all he could see was darkness beneath the tunnel. No meteors, no burning streaks, just an ominous silence. His pulse quickened. The intercom crackled once more. "Proceed to the nearest station. Remain calm." The words sounded hollow, almost mocking in their simplicity. Easy for them to say, Dave thought bitterly. Humans had perfected the art of pretending everything was fine, even as the ground beneath trembled and the sky seemed to threaten the end of everything. Suddenly, an ear-splitting metallic roar filled the train, and the carriage shuddered violently. The lights flickered back on, revealing faces pale with fear. Outside, the city lights blurred into streaks of chaos. Dave's mind raced. What was happening? Meteor shower? Alien invasion? Whatever it was, his bad morning had just become a whole lot worse. High above Earth, in a sleek, fortified command center hidden deep within a government building, Dave's chaos was only beginning. Outside, the sky was a swirling canvas of unnatural colors, streaked with flashes of light and dark shadows moving swiftly across the horizon. Inside, a tense hush had fallen over the room as military officers, scientists, and government officials stared at the massive screens displaying the unfolding chaos. Hurried footsteps now punctuated the once calm hum of the room, shouted orders, and the distant, ominous rumble of something massive approaching. One of the officers, a young woman with sharp eyes and a trembling voice, pointed at the screen showing the city skyline. "You see that? That's not normal. That's something else entirely. Look at the size of those ships." A grizzled general grunted, rubbing his jaw. "No, it's not an aircraft. Those are damn alien vessels. And they're not just passing by. They're here. They're invading." His voice was rough, edged with disbelief and frustration. "All our defenses, everything we've built, are they enough? Are we ready for this?" In the corner, a scientist with thick glasses and a trembling hand was furiously typing on a console. "Sir, the atmospheric readings are off the charts. The composition of the air is changing. These objects entering the atmosphere, whatever they are, they're not just flying through. They're affecting the environment." Suddenly, a loud, metallic screech echoed through the room, causing everyone to jump. The windows, reinforced but still vulnerable, trembled as a shadow loomed overhead. Outside, massive alien ships hovered with an ominous silence, their surfaces gleaming with strange, iridescent colors that shimmered in the dim light. The ships were unlike anything seen in human history, sleek, towering, with strange symbols etched into their hulls that no one recognized. On the big screen, the images became clearer, a series of smaller crafts launching from the larger vessels, darting across the sky like deadly insects. Fighters scrambled on the ground, jets streaking into the air, engines roaring with desperation. The city's military installations roared to life, firing missiles toward the approaching fleet. But the alien ships seemed unfazed, absorbing the fire like it was mere mosquito bites. "Give me the president," a voice barked from another corner. "Tell him to mobilize every defense we've got. Lock down the city. We can't let them land." Meanwhile, the chaos wasn't just confined to the sky. The streets below erupted into panic. People ran in all directions, screaming, crying, and seeking shelter. Sirens blared, echoing through the labyrinth of alleys and buildings. The ground shook again, this time with more force. A distant explosion lit up the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the skyline. In the midst of it all, Dave was still glued to the scene on the screen, his heart pounding loudly in his chest. His mind was reeling. This was no ordinary attack. No meteor shower or natural disaster. This was an invasion. And the fear, the confusion, the helplessness, all of it hit him like a freight train. His hands trembled as he gripped the edge of the console. A young soldier nearby, gripping his rifle tightly, looked over at him. "Hey, buddy," he said, voice low but steady. "Stay inside if you can. Don't go out there. We're all in this together now." Dave nodded numbly, eyes fixed on the chaos unfolding outside. His brain refused to accept it. Aliens? Earth was under attack, and he was just an ordinary guy caught in the middle of a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. The sky above the city was now dotted with alien craft, some firing beams of strange, glowing energy. Others simply hovered, silent as death, watching. It was as if they were sizing up their new prey. He swallowed hard, feeling the weight of impending disaster pressing down on him. The world had changed in an instant, and no one knew if they would survive the night. The invasion was no longer some distant science fiction fantasy. It was happening now, and humanity was fighting for its very existence. Back aboard the alien vessel, the atmosphere was a strange blend of chaos and cold precision. The massive control room buzzed with activity. Alien technicians scurried about, adjusting consoles and analyzing data. At the same time, the towering figures of the High Command, with their shimmering iridescent skin and piercing eyes, stood around a holographic map of Earth. The scene was a stark contrast to the chaos below. Here, everything was calculated, deliberate, as if the invasion was a choreographed dance. Vexlor's second-in-command, Krill, was now frantic, trying to decipher incoming signals that flickered erratically across the main console. "High Admiral, the humans are resisting. Their defenses are firing missiles, jets, and some kind of energy beams. It's chaotic, but their technology is primitive compared to ours. We can outmaneuver them easily." Vexlor tilted his head, observing the chaos on the display with a sense of clinical detachment. "Primitive, yes," he mused, "but unpredictable. That's why we must proceed with caution. Their fear makes them dangerous. We must find a way to neutralize their resistance without provoking unnecessary destruction." At that moment, a young alien officer burst into the room, eyes wide with urgency. "Sir, sensors detect a strange energy signature emanating from the city center. Something unfamiliar. It's a form of communication, but unlike anything we've encountered before." Vexlor's antennae twitched thoughtfully. Could it be a signal? A plea for help? Or perhaps a weapon? The officer nodded nervously. "It's hard to say, sir, but it's not human technology. It's organic, almost alive." "Interesting," Vexlor murmured, stepping closer to the hologram. "Humans might be more than they seem. Primitive, yes, but perhaps resilient in ways we underestimated. This could complicate matters." Meanwhile, on Earth, chaos had erupted across the city. People scrambled through streets, knocking over trash cans and darting into buildings, desperate to find shelter. The sky was a tumultuous swirl of alien ships, some firing beams of strange energy that cut through the air like lightning. others simply hovering ominously. Sirens wailed, and the air was thick with smoke, dust, and the scent of fear. In a small cafe, where a group of frightened civilians had gathered, a middle-aged man tried to keep calm. "Everyone stay down. Don't run. Stay low and quiet. They're just ships. They can't land if we hide enough." A young woman clung to her child, eyes wide with terror. "What do they want? Why are they here?" Before anyone could answer, a distant explosion shook the ground. Everyone looked up in horror as a building crumbled, debris scattering into the air. The city's defenses were faltering, and panic was spreading like wildfire. Back on the command ship, the alien high command observed Earth's chaos with detached curiosity. Vexlor's voice was calm but commanding. "This resistance is expected. We knew humans would fight. Prepare the landing parties. It's time to see what these creatures are truly capable of." Krill hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, High Admiral, but be cautious. They are more resilient than they look. We may need to adapt our tactics quickly." Vexlor's mandibles curled into a faint, knowing smile. "Indeed, that's what makes them dangerous. Never underestimate the unpredictability of a cornered animal." He paused, eyes narrowing. "Send the signal. Let's make our move." As the alien ships prepared to descend, the streets below became a battleground of human desperation and alien dominance. The invasion had begun in earnest, and neither side knew how this battle would end. Humanity's resilience was about to be tested in ways they could never have imagined, and the outcome hung precariously in the balance. The fight for Earth was no longer just a battle of technology. It was a war of survival, of spirit and willpower against an unstoppable force. Inside the makeshift command center set up in a dimly lit underground bunker, Dave and a handful of survivors huddled around a flickering screen, desperately trying to piece together what was happening. Outside, the sounds of chaos echoed. Explosions, distant screams, and the relentless hum of alien machinery. Dave's brow was furrowed as he stared at the live feed of the city's destruction, his mind racing to process the impossible. A grizzled woman named Sarah, clutching her young son tightly, looked over at him with a mixture of fear and defiance. "We can't just sit here, Dave. We gotta do something. We can't let them wipe out everything we know, our homes, our families." He ran a hand through his hair, eyes darting between the screen and the chaos outside. "I know, Sarah. Believe me, I wish I could think of a plan. But they're too advanced. Their technology, hell, their ships, are unlike anything we've ever seen. We're just a bunch of scared humans with no real way to fight back right now." Another voice, a young soldier named Marcus, snapped. "We're not just going to sit around. We have to find a way to communicate with them, maybe even negotiate. Maybe they're not here to wipe us out entirely. Maybe they just want something." Sarah scoffed. "Negotiate with aliens? Yeah, right. Have you seen what they're doing out there? They're destroying the city. Do you think they're interested in talking?" Before Marcus could respond, a loud rumble shook the ground beneath them. The bunker's walls vibrated as a distant, ominous shadow cast a dark pall over the city. The sound of heavy machinery and the crackle of radio chatter indicated that the aliens were deploying ground forces. The tension in the room was palpable. Everyone was on high alert, hearts pounding in their chests. Suddenly, the bunker's radio crackled to life with a distorted voice. "This is Commander Reynolds. We've confirmed landing parties. They're moving in. We need to prepare for direct contact. Any ideas?" Dave leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Direct contact? Are you crazy? They're aliens. We don't know what they're capable of. Maybe they're not even interested in talking. Maybe they're just here to conquer." Reynolds' voice crackled back, steady but wary. "We don't have a choice. We can't hide forever. We have to face them. If they're here to wipe us out, we need to know why and how to stop them." As the words sank in, the group grew quieter, exchanging tense glances. Outside, the first alien soldiers emerged from the shadows of the wreckage. Tall, armored figures with glowing weapons, their movements deliberate and eerily silent. Their eyes, glowing with an unnatural light, scanned the battered city with cold curiosity. A young girl, clutching her father's arm, whispered trembling, "Are they coming for us? Are we going to die?" Her father tried to sound reassuring, though his face was pale. "We're alive now. That's what matters. We fight or we fall. That's all we can do." Meanwhile, outside the bunker, the alien soldiers advanced steadily, their weapons humming with deadly energy. They moved with purpose, unhurried and relentless. Some of the humans tried to hide, others stood their ground, fists clenched with a mixture of fear and anger. The city was now a battlefield, a war zone where humanity's survival hung by a fragile thread. The invaders showed no signs of slowing down, and the humans knew this was the beginning of a brutal, unyielding fight for everything they held dear. In that moment, Dave looked up at the chaos outside, voice trembling but resolute. "We can't give up. No matter how impossible it seems, we have to find a way. We're not just going to roll over and let them take everything without a fight. We're going to stand our ground. We have to. For ourselves, for everyone we love. Because if we don't, there won't be anything left worth saving." In the dim glow of the underground bunker, tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. The air was heavy with fear and desperation. Yet amidst the chaos, a spark of determination flared in Sarah's eyes. She looked around at the battered group, some injured, some just exhausted, and then at Dave, who was already plotting their next move. "We can't just hide forever," she said firmly, voice trembling but resolute. "We have to do something. We can't let them take everything without a fight." Dave nodded slowly, rubbing his chin as he stared at the makeshift map drawn on a scrap of paper. "You're right. But what? We're sitting ducks here. They're out there, and they're not waiting for us to come out and wave a white flag." His voice was tense, edged with frustration. "We need a plan, something daring, something clever. We can't just hope they go away." From across the room, Marcus chimed in, eyes blazing with fierce hope. "Maybe we can lure them into a trap. Use what little ground weapons we have. I mean, if we could get a shot at their ships or ground forces, maybe we can buy some time, even push them back a little." Sarah scoffed, crossing her arms. "A trap? That's a suicide mission. Do you think we're prepared for that? We're barely holding it together here, Marcus. We don't even have proper weapons." Suddenly, the room trembled again, louder this time. Outside, the distant rumble of machinery and the screeching of metal echoed through the tunnels. The ground beneath their feet vibrated with the approaching footsteps of alien soldiers. The hum of their weapons grew louder, more ominous. Everyone's nerves snapped tighter, every heartbeat pounding loudly in their ears. They knew the aliens were coming closer, and with each passing second, their hope waned just a little more. Then, the crackle of a radio broke the tense silence, static-laden but clear. "This is Commander Reynolds. We've confirmed ground forces are moving in. We need to prepare for engagement. All units, brace yourselves." His voice was steady, but beneath it, the worry was unmistakable. Dave clenched his fists, eyes narrowing. "Engagement? Great. Just what we needed. We're going to have to face them head on. No hiding, no running. That's suicide. Or maybe it's our only chance." Sarah looked at him, her voice sharp. "Are you saying we fight? Are you seriously considering that? We're not soldiers. We're civilians. We're not equipped for this kind of fight." Before anyone could respond, a metallic screech announced the arrival of the alien ground troops. Tall, armored figures with glowing weapons emerged from the shadows, their movements smooth and purposeful. The flickering lights of their eyes seemed to pierce right through the dimness of the bunker. They advanced steadily, unhurried, as if they had all the time in the world. The humans froze, hearts pounding, as the realization sank in that the battle was no longer just a distant possibility. It was happening now. One of the soldiers, a young girl clutching her father's arm, whispered with a trembling voice, "Are they coming for us? Are we going to die?" Her father's face was pale, but he tried to mask his fear with a bravado he didn't feel. We're alive now. That's what matters. We fight or we fall. That's all we can do. And we're not going down without a fight. Outside, the alien soldiers moved with relentless purpose, their weapons humming ominously. The city was now a war zone. Smoke billowed into the sky, fires raged in the distance, and the sounds of destruction echoed through the tunnels. Every second felt like a lifetime, every breath a struggle. The humans had no choice but to stand their ground, no matter how hopeless it seemed. In that moment, Dave looked around at the battered faces surrounding him, then out at the chaos beyond the bunker's walls. His voice was raw but determined. We're not just going to give up. We're going to fight. We're going to do whatever it takes, because if we don't, everything we care about will be gone. And I swear, no matter what happens, we'll go down swinging. For ourselves, for everyone we love. We're not finished yet. His words hung in the air, a rallying cry amid the storm of destruction, as the battle for Earth entered its most perilous phase. The chaos outside the bunker was deafening, a relentless barrage of gunfire, explosions, and alien screeches that seemed to shake the very ground beneath their feet. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and tension, every breath heavy with fear and adrenaline. Dave stood at the front, eyes flickering with a mixture of desperation and fierce determination. We can't just sit here and wait for them to break through, he barked, voice hoarse but commanding. We got to find a way to turn this around. Sarah, clutching her trembling son, shot him a skeptical look. And what do you suggest, genius? We're outgunned, outnumbered, and let's be honest, completely out of our depth. We don't even have proper weapons for this. A young soldier named Marcus, his face streaked with dirt and sweat, grinned grimly. We might not have fancy tech, but we've got something they don't, courage. And if we can create a distraction, maybe we could buy some time. Or even better, cause some chaos that throws them off. Sarah rolled her eyes. Great. So, we risk our lives trying to be heroes while the rest of the city burns? That's brilliant, Marcus. Just what we need. More death. Suddenly, the bunker's walls vibrated violently as a loud explosion rocked the ground nearby. Outside, the distant sound of a massive ship landing, metal grinding against metal, could be heard echoing ominously. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and everyone instinctively crouched or ducked, hearts pounding wildly. The soldiers outside moved swiftly, their footsteps heavy and relentless, as if they knew the time was running out. The soldiers' weapons, glowing with unnatural energy, hummed ominously, casting fleeting shadows on the bunker walls. A crackling voice burst through the radio again, strained but clear. This is Commander Reynolds. Ground forces are in position. We're moving in. Prepare for engagement. All units, hold your ground. The words sent a ripple of tension through the room as everyone exchanged anxious glances. Dave clenched his fists. Great. Just what we needed. A full-on assault. It's now or never, folks. We either fight or we're toast. Sarah's voice cracked with a mixture of frustration and fear. Fight? Are you serious? We're civilians. We don't have combat training or weapons. We're sitting ducks. Before anyone could respond, a deafening screech pierced the air as the first alien soldiers stormed into view. Tall, armored figures with glowing eyes and weapons that crackled with energy emerged from the shadows like nightmares come alive. Their movements were eerily precise, their purpose clear. They advanced steadily, their eyes scanning the bunker with cold, unfeeling intensity. The humans inside froze, caught between terror and defiance. A little girl, clutching her father's arm, whispered, trembling, "Are they coming for us? Are we going to die?" Her father's face was pale, but he tried to mask his fear with a brave smile. We're alive now. That's what matters. We fight or we fall. That's all we can do. Outside, the alien soldiers pressed forward, their weapons humming with deadly energy, illuminating the dark streets in flashes of eerie light. Fires raged in the distance, smoke billowed into the sky, and the city was now a battlefield. Every second felt like an eternity, each sound sharpening the edge of their nerves. The humans knew they were cornered, but surrender was not an option. They had to stand and fight for every inch of their home. Dave looked around at the battered faces of his companions and the chaos beyond the bunker. His voice was gritty but filled with burning resolve. We might be scared stiff, but we're not giving up. Not yet. We fight for every breath, every memory, every person we love. Because if we don't, there'll be nothing left but ashes and silence. And I swear, I'm not going to let that happen. Not without a fight, at least. We're going to stand our ground, no matter what it costs us. His words echoed fiercely in the cramped space, a rallying cry amid the storm of destruction outside, as the battle for survival reached its most desperate point. The battle outside raged on, a cacophony of destruction and chaos that seemed to shake the very foundation of their world. Inside the bunker, the small group of survivors huddled together, hearts pounding in their chests. Every sound from the chaos outside felt like a punch to their stomachs, a reminder of how much was at stake. Dave, covered in dirt and sweat, looked around at everyone fighting to hold on to hope. His voice, rough and hoarse, broke through the tense silence. "We're not going down without a fight," he declared fiercely. "We've come this far. I refuse to let everything we've lost be for nothing." Sarah, her face streaked with tears and dirt, shook her head in despair. "But what can we do? We're outnumbered, outgunned, and honestly, I don't see a way out of this mess. We're just delaying the inevitable." Her voice cracked, betraying her fear, but her eyes burned with stubborn resolve. Marcus, ever the optimist in the worst situations, stepped closer, a grin fighting its way onto his dirt-smudged face. "Maybe we can buy some time. We got a few old weapons, nothing fancy, but maybe if we set a trap or cause a distraction, we could throw them off. Maybe even push them back if we're lucky." Sarah scoffed, arms crossed tightly. "A trap? Seriously? Do you even know what you're talking about? That's a suicide mission. We're just civilians. We can't fight like soldiers. We're just mice caught in a trap of wolves." Suddenly, the ground trembled violently, a deafening explosion rattling the bunker's walls. Outside, the distant sound of ships landing, metal scraping against metal, grew louder, more ominous. The earth seemed to shudder beneath their feet, and everyone instinctively crouched low or clutched their heads, hearts pounding wildly. The air was thick with smoke, and the flickering light from distant fires cast eerie shadows on the walls. The alien soldiers stormed closer, their footsteps echoing with purpose, their weapons glowing with unnatural energy. The hum of their weapons grew louder, a sinister symphony announcing that the battle was reaching a fever pitch. A crackling voice cut through the chaos, strained but resolute. "This is Commander Reynolds. Ground forces are in position. We're moving in. Hold your ground." The words sent a shiver down everyone's spines. It was now or never. Dave clenched his fists, eyes blazing with stubborn resolve. "We either fight or we're dead. No more hiding. No more running. We stand our ground, even if it kills us." Sarah's voice was a mixture of fear and defiance. "Fight? Are you kidding me? We're civilians. We don't have the training or the weapons. We're sitting ducks, nothing more." Before they could argue further, the first wave of alien soldiers burst into view, towering figures clad in shimmering armor, their eyes glowing with an unearthly light. They moved with deadly precision, weapons crackling with energy. They advanced steadily, unflinching, their purpose clear: annihilate everything in their path. The humans inside the bunker froze, paralyzed by fear and adrenaline, caught between despair and a desperate hope to survive. A young girl, clutching her father's arm, looked up with trembling eyes. "Are they coming for us? Are we going to die?" Her father's face was pale, but he forced a brave smile. "We're alive now. That's what matters. We fight or we fall. That's all we can do. His voice was steady, but the fear in his eyes betrayed him. Outside, the alien soldiers pressed forward, their weapons humming with lethal energy, illuminating the dark streets with flashes of sickly green and blue. Fires blazed in the distance, smoke billowing into the sky as the city crumbled around them. Every second was a test of nerve, every breath a struggle. The humans knew they were outnumbered and outmatched, but surrender was not an option. They had to fight for every inch of their home, for every memory, for every loved one. Dave looked around at the battered faces of his friends and the chaos beyond the bunker's walls. His voice was gritty but filled with unwavering resolve. We're scared stiff, but we're not giving up. Not yet. We fight for our lives, for our future, for everything that's slipping away. Because if we don't, this place, our home, will be nothing but ashes and silence. And I swear, I'm not going to let that happen without a fight, no matter what it costs us. His words echoed like a battle cry, a fierce declaration that they would stand their ground, no matter how bleak the odds. As the alien assault intensified, the battered group prepared to face whatever was coming, united in their desperate hope that somehow they might still find a way to survive.